You guys remember when I think it was the DOJ, when they came out and they wanted to like tell us we're getting this crypto regulation. It was urgent. It was like, oh my God. Well, this is the story right here. And apparently Binance is kind of related. But before you guys say anything, hold on. Binance processed nearly $346 million worth of Bitcoin trades for Bitzlato, which kind of sounds like a Starbucks coffee. Starbucks, please sponsor the show. But it is, in fact, a crypto exchange. The founder was arrested in Miami last week for allegedly operating an unlicensed exchange business that processed $700 million in illicit funds. And Binance was named one of Bitzlato's top 3 counterparties by the amount of Bitcoin received between May 2018 and September 2022. They were one of the only major exchanges. Before I pass it off to anybody else, I want to first remind you guys, before we jump to conclusions here, Binance is one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, so it does make sense that they would be, kind of be involved with this. Probably they had no idea, but at the same time, stuff does happen, especially in crypto and in traditional finance as well. So I don't think Binance was really kind of doing anything bad. I think they just kind of got caught up in the mix because they are one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world. Jen, I would love to get your take on this.
I think we can say as much as we want on this show that Binance probably didn't know, but authorities and regulators are going to look at this story differently. So Bitzlato's founder was allegedly running a money laundering engine. That's what authorities are saying. And if we just listen to how authorities have been speaking about crypto, if they can tie Binance to this alleged money laundering scheme, I think they will. I think this, given the state of the industry, what's happened with FTX and some other centralized exchanges due to contagion, I don't think this is a good look for Binance. Although, Wendy, I kind of agree with you. Like, maybe they didn't do anything wrong, but I think that regulators are going to say, why were the right checks and balances not in place? How did you not know that this upwards of $300 million was being used in some kind of money laundering scheme? And so I don't think this is good for Binance. Will, what do you think?
Well, I think we got to hold on a little bit here. Binance is an international company. Binance US is the only exchange from Binance that is serving in the US and serving US clients. So to me right now, I'm still wondering if US regulators are really going to care about this story as much. Obviously, they did push against Bitzlato and had some enforcement action against them because of their role in money laundering. And we've seen that there's been a lot of enforcement actions against cryptocurrency companies in the Russian area because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, but it's not quite clear yet if there's going to be some tie between Binance, US regulators, and Bitzlato. Maybe US regulators go so far as to say that they're going to censor Binance because of its ties to Bitzlato, but that seems unlikely given Binance's place within the ecosystem and the fact that Binance, as of right now, does not service US customers. The only way they're going to service US customers is if those customers are abroad somehow and able to get through ID verification. I mean, I've been on Binance before, and then I was booted off the exchange when they implemented KYC laws for US customers. So I think there's a few things that we have to know about there. The one thing I wanted to bring up, however, is the Wazir X story from a few weeks ago. If you remember that story, guys, there was like this confusion about where Wazir X's finances were. Were they on top of Binance? Were they not on top of Binance? There was some ruffled feathers between the two CEOs of Binance and Wazir X. And we came out to find out that Wazir X actually was using Binance for a lot of its trading. Like, a lot of its assets were on top of Binance. And as you remember, that makes sense because Binance is going to give you the best price execution. So it's not odd to see like a lot of smaller exchanges actually running on top of Binance's software and using Binance's whole exchange infrastructure for itself. So I think there could be more cases of this, and this is just something that Binance has to be aware of. If they're going to be servicing other exchanges as part of its business end, well, you might come across some people who are acting in bad faith or in bad jurisdictions, and that is a threat to Binance itself. Zach, I'm going to throw it up to you.
Binance is a big target on its back. It's the big fish out there for regulators worldwide. Remember, before SBF was sort of outed as a alleged fraud, the consensus among Washington, D.C. thinkfluencers was that, you know, CZ was sort of the evil, like, Jedi crypto founder. SBF was like the good crypto founder, right? And I think there is that lingering distrust, especially within U.S. regulatory circles, about Binance, whether this was something that they did with knowledge or simply without knowledge because they can process it, you know, like without their consent or something. You know, that doesn't matter. What this story tells me is that the big prize out there is Binance. The people who sort of see Binance as an enabler of scams, as an enabler of money laundering, there's plenty of sentiment, I think, especially within the regulatory ranks, that is out there to this day. So I think when we saw sort of the grandiose statement about Bitzlato, I think keen observers were sort of saying, I think they're piecing together a case potentially against Binance or some other big major factor in the industry, right? And that could potentially be what's at play here as we start to see dribs and drabs of this story come out as it relates to the Bitzlato case. So I think that, to me, is the story. Big target on its back. CZ, he's the biggest thing out there right now. And I think everybody, not everybody, but some folks are seeking to claw him down with accusations such as this. I don't know. Wendy, what do you think?
Accusations. They just need to leave Binance alone. Binance literally is not even like legally allowed to operate in the United States of America, but yet FinCEN is mad at them. Like, Binance is caught up in this whole thing. It's becoming ridiculous at this point. Like, I just not understanding why we're focusing on things that are not even in our jurisdiction, when in fact we should be focusing on things that are in our jurisdiction and actually like help retail. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a crazy person. Jen.
Wendy, why are you surprised that regulators aren't focusing on things within their jurisdiction? We've been here for a long time. That shouldn't be that surprising right now. But I do want to add that a Binance spokesperson, it was mentioned in the story, said that they provided substantial assistance in this case to authorities as they were investigating. But if this turned out bad for Binance, I just want to say it wouldn't be the first time we saw an exchange working with regulators, trying to do the best thing, trying to put their best foot forward, and then regulators turning on them. That is obviously just speculation. But Zach, I think I saw your hand go up.
I was just going to say, historically, Binance has played fast and loose with jurisdictional issues. So maybe the suspicion is merited in some cases. But I'll toss it down to Will.
Yeah, before we move on to the next story, I do want to bring up the one precedent we actually have for this story. And it's with the U.S. exchange Kraken, which back in November was slapped with a fine for actually only around 6 figures for its role in processing transfers and transactions in Iran. So we do have precedent for this. Kraken is a U.S.-based exchange, however, and they got basically a slap on the wrist. It wasn't much. So I don't know if much is going to come about this.